Are you looking for ways to de-stress? Do you want to take on a mini passion project? Or better yet, do you want to partake in the Bernie and Mittens memes even though it's already been about 2 weeks since the inauguration? Regardless of your reason, come embroider Bernie on a bucket hat with me. Since school has started, I feel like I haven't gotten a whole lot of time to rest or time for myself. So I decided to go on Amazon and buy 2 bucket hats to embroider on. And in honor of hitting 100 subscribers, which big thank you, 10% on the way to my goal of hitting 1,000 so that I can get monetized, I'm going to embroider Bernie Sanders and Mittens on a bucket hat for my #1 subscriber, Natalie Crispin. For this project, you need a bucket hat, embroidery string, needles, hoop, and fabric stabilizer. You don't need the stabilizer, but it definitely helps when you want to hand embroider more detailed designs or shapes. Like the last embroidery video, I put the materials I used and helpful videos I reference in the description box below so that all of my 100 subscribers can follow along. I undertook some detailed and heavy research before embroidering, which means I just Googled some photos of the Bernie meme, put them on a Word doc, and printed them out on the water-soluble stabilizer. Once you have all the materials ready, the first step is to cut the designs out and stick the Fabri-Solvi onto the bucket hat. This was my first time using the product, so I actually read the instructions. Then, take your embroidery hoop to secure the area you'll be embroidering on. Third, thread your needle. I have yet to successfully thread the needle on camera, so you just have to trust me that I'm capable of doing this. I realized as I started embroidering that the Bernie printout I chose was a bit too small for the hat, and there wasn't enough surface area to work with, so I decided to stick on the other one. Save yourself the trouble of sticking another design on and rehooping the fabric by simply choosing the correct size of Bernie and Mittens. Because the surface area was small, and there were a few more details on the picture, I decided to split the string into 4 threads and 2 threads, as shown later in this video, and use the 4-thread string. When satin stitching, this helps lessen the bulkiness of the string. For the face, I started with the actual face portion using beige, moved on to the mask using light blue, then finished with the hair using white. I decided to forego embroidering the glasses because it would have been too small, and that's one less thing to embroider. Using the dark olive green string, I started with the coat. Because the overall pattern was pretty dark, it was a bit hard to exactly see what I was embroidering on. After outlining the coat, I started to satin stitch to fill it. Halfway through, I decided to outline where his arms and gloves would be so that I could stem stitch with a different color at the end, and so that I wouldn't end up with a green blob. Sometimes your thread might get tangled up or stuck with the other string. When this happens, use a needle to unhook the thread. You can take this step before, during, or after getting frustrated that your string won't thread through. It was also getting difficult to see the pattern clearly, so I decided to take a purple pen to mark the outline. Then, I moved on to the pants using the black string. I used the same technique of outlining the design, filling it using a satin stitch, and leaving a little bit of space where I would stem stitch later on, so that you can tell he was crossing his legs. The socks and shoes were a bit hard because this area of the photo didn't transfer well onto the fabric stabilizer. I just guessed where everything would be and used the same method of stitching as I did for the coat and pants. Finally, the gloves. This was probably the hardest part because I was trying, keyword, to make the gloves have some semblance of the actual ones. I really referenced the Bernie crochet doll for this because I thought the gloves on the figure were a lot easier to follow than the actual design. For this, I split the string to 3 threads and 3 threads, so that it would be even thinner when stitching.
things that keep me wide awake. I confess, I want the best I could be, but did you have to be so mean to me? And I wish you well, but I hope I never see you again. Yeah, I wish you well, but I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see you again. Hope I never see you again. See you again. Yeah. Had a bad trip and you're blue now. God gave me a reason somehow. I don't think it's a sin to drink. And now I found friends who like when I sing. Had a bad trip and you're blue now. God gave me a reason somehow. I don't think it's a sin to drink. And now I found friends who love it when I sing. Who love it when I sing. Who love it when I sing. You love it when I sing. You love me. You love it when I sing. Know that I still care for you, even if you forget to. Know that I do. Yeah, I do. Know that I still care for you, even if you forget to. Know that I do. Yeah, I do.
I went back and forth debating on whether or not to outline, then on what color I should use. I landed on this grayish color because I wanted it to contrast the black of the pants and the dark olive green of the coat. I used a 4-thread string to stem stitch at first, but then decided it looked a little too thick. So I took out everything I had stitched and used a 3-thread string. Once you're decently happy with what you've embroidered, it's time to rinse off the fabric stabilizer. Take the embroidery hoop off, cut around the excess edges of the stabilizer, then run the design under warm water for 2 to 3 minutes. As I mentioned in the beginning, this bucket hat is actually not staying with me. I decided to mail it as a gift for my friend Natalie because she likes bucket hats and Bernie memes. I would have given it to Mary, but she's not a bucket hat enthusiast. And assuming that Natalie is watching this, pretend like you're surprised when you receive this in the mail. And that is how you embroider a Bernie and Mittens bucket hat.